What's up, guys? In this video, I'm just going to go into how I am running team meetings in Asana. And this is to make sure that you are more effective in your communication as a leader and to make sure that nothing gets dropped in terms of action items, tasks, expectations, and a good place basically to clean up open loops. One of the biggest challenges I see so far as we're growing this organization is just how does information move through the organization and when does it get communicated, and people being clear on there is a time and a place to communicate certain things. So this structure that I have right here that I'll run through for what we call our full team weekly action call, I can't say I completely came up with it myself. Between Scaling Up right here, which is by Vern Harnish, really good book, and then also experience working under Taylor Conroy a few years ago, seeing how he ran his meetings. I went to a couple different companies after working with him and realized that since leaving there, I'd never seen any company do it as effective as they had. So I decided to kind of build my own version of it, and we'll walk you through so that way your team meetings are actually effective and efficient. So first things first, I run it out of Asana, and I have a project board here with these tasks. These tasks I never check off. They don't have due dates. The ones at the bottom are actually going to be basically due dates and everything. But what we got here is first and foremost is going to be roles, right? So 3 roles: facilitator, timekeeper, action grabber. Facilitator, who's leading the meeting; timekeeper, who's keeping track of each section of the meeting; action grabber, who is taking notes and putting down action items for the bottom, which is called who, what, when. So who, what, when means who's doing it, what is the task, and by when. Also setting like a agenda, right? Just like on a sales call, like what is the meeting purpose and defining that, and how, like, figuring out what a metric for success is for your meetings. So for us, it's about driving more revenue, driving down costs, essentially having more effective communication. From there, basically roll in, what's up, guys, set the agenda, just like you would a sales call for your team, and then move into good news. So personal win, business win, this is rapid fire. The expectation is that when my team comes on, they've already thought of this, they've already plugged it in, they're coming prepared, they've got it going. Then from there, we move into like weekly priorities and weekly rocks, which is, I say, 3 or less. So if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. And one of the kind of things I noticed is there weren't clear priorities when I hopped onto this. I'm building this business right now with Tribe of Buyers. The priorities weren't totally clear and communicated across the team. And now for everyone who's active on the team, it's completely obvious what their priority is. And what we do is we actually keep it tracked in like a weekly right here. So that way you're reporting on, hey, what did you say you were going to do for your top 1, 2, or 3 priorities? And then what were your results, right? So this week we went above on new cash, which was great. So we're 2 for 2. That means on this next Monday meeting, when I come to report, what I'll report is on last week, and then what are my priorities this week. So the way it would sound is, cool, my weekly rocks last week was 15K of new cash and 3 tickets sold. I hit 18K of new cash, and I hit 4 tickets sold, actually. So I'm 2 for 2. Bang, done. And then I would say, and this week, my target is blank and blank, and then I would pass it on to the next person. So that way, it's like people come prepared, and they know that they need to show up to this meeting with their top 1, 2, or 3 priorities for the week thought of. And that's the expectation. Like if they're fumbling it right there, like you're basically calling awareness to that this is something that's known. This is something that you're coming to this meeting prepared with, thought about, so that we're, ahead of it and we're proactive. Then from there, we move into KPIs on a yearly, quarterly, monthly basis. We actually hit that goal. We're on track on all these actually, which is great. So we just had a killer end of the month. So I go into yearly OPSP, which is 1-page strategic plan, to just do a quick review of, what's the target for the year? Where are we at on the target? What are the metrics? And then go into, okay, what is the quarter we're at right now? This needs to be updated. We're quite a bit ahead of that now. Monthly goals. So basically we go yearly, quarterly, monthly, and I report on that. And then each individual is going to have some sort of KPI that we're tracking, right? This can change over time, but basically we want to have something from fulfillment, like an NPS score, which is like, hey, how well are our clients doing? marketing, whether it's cost per lead, new leads, calls booked, something from their end, for their setters and the closers, having some sort of essentially metric that we're tracking. Um, and then really for anyone who's on the meeting. So my paid ads guy, we need to get him back running ads. And then from there, we run into announcements. So that way the team can actually see it. Usually what I'll do is I'll leave this, and then the week after the next meeting, I'll just delete this as a check, bang, bang, delete it. And then the last piece is just open loops here. So this is really important because what happens in oftentimes in Slack communications is people have issues in real time, and they bring up that issue in a group channel in Slack in real time. And one, that disturbs the workflow of everyone else in the company, which is, you got to think about, you got to be a little more conscious. And two, it probably doesn't get responded to right away or with like proper time and focus to actually get it resolved. So what I like to do is basically batch solve the open loops of communication. If it's really urgent, then yes, we can put it in Slack. But to actually be a little more conscious than, oh, I'm having an issue, let me put it in Slack, put it in here, put an agenda item for it, open it, put some notes about maybe what's going on, what you need, what's necessary, and possibly even just outsource some of it. So, like, for example, we're about to do automations thread. So maybe there's a certain automation that's not working. Rather than me going into Slack and clogging up everyone else's focus, I would come into here. This thread will have a bunch of subtasks. So maybe like the calendar reminders are an issue. This is an example. I don't know. I'm just making something up. What I would do is I would come into here, and then I would put a Loom video in it, and I would assign this task to somebody so they can do it when they're ready to look at it. And I would just give them a due date and they'll get notified. Right. So rather than me messing with their workflow in Slack, I'd rather keep it all in Asana. That way, basically, our team can stay focused on what they need to focus on, and then they can compartmentalize and actually have proper time to close these open loops without messing with their priorities, right? So I'm going to close that off. Bang. Let's go back. Just because, like, at the beginning of the week, we define our top 3 rocks, our top 3 priorities, right? And these rocks right here, in a later video, I'll talk about like quarterly planning and yearly planning, but these rocks roll up into, right, the quarterly goal, and then that feeds into the yearly goal as well. So that way we have that all dialed in. Then we'll have like any updates. I have a few random sections in there. Biggest thing is at the end, we do what's called a who, what, when. So based off of that meeting, we assign those tasks to the respective person, give them a due date. Cabe, overdue. Come on, man. Just kidding. And then we do a rate the meeting. So scale of 1 to 10, how was the meeting? And the last 2 people to do this, I got this from Chandler Bolt. So thanks, Chandler. Is the last people to do it is the leadership. The first people to do it is the team. And if it's less than like an 8 or a 7, ask why. That way we can actually improve it. So the intention of this is to keep a consistent structure and for people to feel like in the organization there is a place for their problems to get addressed, or for us to say, hey, that's a problem, and we're actually not going to address it now, and you need to figure out a solution on your own, or at least people are clear on what needs to happen, right? Because effective delegation and effective like dividing and conquering doesn't happen if there isn't a space to decide who's going to divide and conquer what. So if you guys found this helpful, just drop a like, a subscribe, a comment. I'd love that. Growing this channel on leadership, sales skills, and building, just documenting the process of growing a sales team. So that's it for now. And we'll see you guys on the next YouTube video. Peace.